All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Megan Balding, and I'm with the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's session, where I have the pleasure of working with Professor Edward Mabey, who will be talking about our MS in Green Technologies. So before we get started with the formal presentation, I want to just go over some quick housekeeping items. So for those of you that are attending the session today, we will send out a copy of the presentation slides within about 1 to 2 business days so that you can reference the information that we're sharing today. Additionally, we highly encourage you to ask questions during the information session. The format of today's presentation will be question and answer. So we do have some frequently asked questions about the program that Professor Mabey will be addressing. And then we'll have time at the end of the session for all of your questions. So please do utilize the Q&A panel to ask any questions that you may have throughout the presentation, and we'll be sure to get to those during that open Q&A session. Now, as I mentioned for today's program, I'll quickly be discussing USC Viterbi School of Engineering, and then we'll get right into the MS in Green Technologies, where we'll be going over the program and other information regarding the degree. As I mentioned, we will have time at the end of the session for open Q&A, so please do send those questions over as they come to you, and we'll be sure to address them. For those of you that may be viewing the recording of the session, welcome. If you have any questions at the end of the session, we will be providing you with contact information, so you can go ahead and email us those questions and we can answer those directly. So a quick introduction to the University of Southern California. We are the oldest private university in the Western United States, founded in 1880. We have about 46,000 students, about 19,500 undergraduates, and about 26,500 graduate students. We have about 4,700 full-time faculty members within this university, and a diverse student population with students coming from all 50 states and over 100 countries. The campus itself is located in Los Angeles. We're just south of downtown LA. And the Viterbi School of Engineering is on our main campus. It consists of 8 academic departments and has 189 tenure track faculty, of whom 17 are members of the National Academy of Engineering. We also have over 90 faculty members that have received the National Science Foundation Career, National, and Presidential Young Investigator Awards. Our current student population is just over 2,800 undergraduate students and around 5,500 graduate students. In terms of our research, there's just not enough time to go into all of that today, so I do encourage you to visit our website, viterbischool.usc.edu. We do have a comprehensive research search tool, so if you're interested in a specific area and you want to see what's going on within the Viterbi School, I do encourage you to utilize that search tool function under the research tab. We do have over 35 research centers housed within the Viterbi School of Engineering and over $212 million in research expenditures annually. So without further ado, it is my privilege to introduce Professor Ed Mabey. Professor Mabey is a professor of electrical and computer engineering practice. He's also the Associate Department Chair for the Ming Hsieh Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering in the electrophysics area. So thank you so much, Professor Mabey, for joining us today and for speaking to us about the Master of Science program in Green Technologies. So the first question I was hoping to direct to you today, Professor Mabey, is if you could just delve into the types of courses that are part of the MS in Green Technologies.
Okay, Megan, thank you. Our program is divided into 3 pieces in terms of requirements, and then the one additional requirement pertaining to electives. We ask students to take 2 courses that pertain to sustainability in terms of green systems and the environment. Industrial ecology concerns the life cycle of manufactured goods like a aluminum can, for instance. And sustainable infrastructure systems involves sustainability issues with infrastructure. And I've been teaching that class for several years now. We ask students to take 2 courses involving energy. One is a survey course. You have 2 options which are listed there. And then we have a list of elective courses in energy. It's a long list and we don't have it here, but 1 extra course from that. In terms of sustainability, CE 469 involves so-called LEED construction practices for sustainable buildings and so forth. So you're required to take that, but then we have another sustainability related course from a list. And those courses come from outside the Viterbi School as well, such as the Business School and the School of Architecture. The elective component is particularly important. We want students to be able to say that I have a master's degree in green technologies and I'm an expert as well in something, like it could be water and waste management. So we ask that the elective courses contribute to some particular aspect of your program. Megan, you appear to be lost here.
Oh, I see you. Can you see me, or are we good?
I can't see you.
Yeah.
See your picture.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yes.
Great. Okay, perfect. Well, as long as the audio is coming through, I think we'll just move forward.
Okay, that's fine. So
Perfect.
anyway, the elective courses are intended to give you a concentration. By the way, some students will fulfill that by doing a thesis, and that's particularly useful sometimes because that document can establish you as an expert in something when you go off and look for a job. Megan, can we have the next slide?
Sure. And actually, Professor, maybe I had a question just related to this area. I think one of the aspects that makes this program very unique is the fact that it is an interdisciplinary program. Would you be able to speak a little bit to that and how it helps to kind of create the foundation of the program and that interdisciplinary nature?
Yes, I'd be glad to. Our program is unique in the sense that it doesn't belong to any particular department. If you go around the country and look at similar programs, you'll see that they might be offered by a mechanical engineering department with emphasis on energy, or maybe a civil engineering department and so forth. So in this sense, since we are not affiliated with a single department, but rather the program spans all of the departments in the Viterbi School, there's no bias in the program, so to speak, in terms of how the degree requirements are fulfilled. So this is truly unique for what we've been doing. And you'll notice that in the list of courses here, the prefixes for the courses are all different for the most part. And the energy courses come from different departments as well. And so as an interdisciplinary program, you have lots and lots of flexibility here. Okay?
Great, thank you. So the next section or next question we have is the type of applicant that you're looking for. What type of academic background does a successful applicant have, and the type of student that you generally find in the degree program?
Okay, Megan, I'll go through this list, okay?
Yeah.
We're looking for
Professor, maybe if you'd like to maybe talk about the academic background, and then I can get into the kind of the other details of the application. But if you want to talk about the type of academic bachelor's degrees that are successful applicants come in with, that would be great.
I think that the students who have participated in this program in the past and have been successful have come from engineering programs, either at USC or elsewhere. or a program involving, say, physics or chemistry, mathematics, something technical like that. And the reason I bring this up is that the majority of the courses that you would be taking in our program are graduate level engineering courses. I realize some of them might be outside the school, but most of them are graduate engineering courses, and those require usually a good proficiency in mathematics. Okay, not an overwhelming one, but not zero either. Okay, so if a student was coming from, say, a liberal arts program where the math component of their plan of study as an undergraduate was deficient, that might cause a problem. But we can look at that when one applies. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Professor Mabey. I think
perhaps you can go through the remainder of the list here.
Definitely. I think that's a good segue into just the one big message I want to get across in terms of our application process within the Viterbi School is that we do complete a comprehensive review of all of our applicants. So while your academic background is of the utmost importance during that review process, there are a number of other aspects that we do take into consideration as well. In terms of just the general, checklist items that you will need in order to apply, a transcript from all post-secondary schools is going to be required as part of your application. We will ask you to upload an electronic copy of your official transcripts during the process. We're generally looking for a cumulative GPA of at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale from your undergraduate course of study, but that is not a requirement. So if your GPA does fall below a 3.0, we still encourage you to apply, as we'll take a close look at your transcripts and courses that you've completed to get a thorough picture of your academic background. Now, the GRE is something I wanted to touch base on. The GRE is generally required for our master's level programs and the MS in Green Technologies. For the fall of 2021, that GRE requirement has been waived. If you are looking to apply to a future term, such as spring of 2022, you will want to check back in when the application becomes available for that term. So generally in late June, early July, you can touch base with us to confirm whether the GRE will be required for future applications. Additionally, a CV or resume is going to be required, as well as a personal statement. And the MS in Green Technologies does require 3 letters of recommendation. All of this is submitted through the application portal. Additionally, if you are an international student, the TOEFL or an English language examination is going to be required. So Professor Mabey, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the types of job opportunities graduates of this program have pursued.
Okay, thank you. Well, the list here shows some examples of where some recent students have gone. Sustainability, at least that aspect of green technologies, is increasingly important in corporations. Many of them will have a sustainability officer or department, so there are opportunities there. In terms of infrastructure, in order to build anything these days, the would-be builder needs to go through a permitting process, and in which sustainability issues and environmental issues and so forth need to be addressed. And so there are opportunities for employment on both sides of that. Both the people that are seeking the ability to construct something, say someone working for an electric power company, as well as the government side, the people that read these proposals and make policy based upon them. So there are opportunities there. In terms of specific technologies, I think that especially if one has emphasis in their plan of study on, say, renewables for electric power, okay, then there would be opportunities in terms of the electric power industry as well as the manufacturers of the equipment that is being used for that purpose, say wind turbines and so forth. So the opportunities are very broad, okay, and it's hard to sum them up in one particular category.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So the next question, can I pursue the MS in Green Technologies online? I will address this area specifically, and I do just want to remind all of you that are attending today's session, please go ahead and use that Q&A panel to send over any questions. We'll be getting to the open question and answer portion in just a few moments here. So in terms of the course delivery methods, there are two ways in which you can pursue the MS in Green Technologies. I will just clarify, obviously, this is in reference to normal times once we get through this crazy time of the pandemic. But once we return to post-pandemic ways and back to normal, which will hopefully be very soon, there are two categories in which you can pursue the degree program. The first is our traditional on-campus option, which is oftentimes pursued by a full-time student. A full-time student is taking around 3 to 4 classes per semester and is taking about 1.5 to 2 years to complete their degree. Now, we do also offer an online delivery option. So this is the same master's degree, same courses, same curriculum, everything, but you're able to pursue it online. This is often pursued by working professionals, but that's not a requirement. We do have other individuals that pursue the program online full-time, but due to family or other circumstances are unable to come to the LA area. So it's really a flexible opportunity for you to pursue the degree program. Now, if you're pursuing it online and working, then oftentimes you are looking at a part-time program, in which case you're taking about 1 to 2 classes per semester, and which means it takes about 2.5 to 3 years to complete the degree. Now, in terms of how the online option works, the Viterbi School utilizes a state-of-the-art proprietary web-based delivery system that enables students from around the world to access classes live or on demand. So what essentially does that mean? What it means is we, within the Viterbi School, have a full staff of individuals that support and manage the online delivery. You as a student pursuing the program online via Dennett Viterbi are viewing the exact same lectures as your on-campus counterparts. You're viewing and logging into the course either live as it's happening on USC's campus, or you're viewing the archived version, which is the recorded option that's available within a few minutes after the lecture has been completed that day on campus. You have the opportunity, as I mentioned, to log in and be a live learner and have fully interactive participation in the class, or you can view that archive when it fits best into your schedule in the evenings or on the weekends. Now, you're pursuing the same course, following the same syllabus, which has the same deadlines as your on-campus counterparts, which means homework is going to be due at the same time. Therefore, you do have to stay on top of your lecture viewing each week to make sure that you're viewing it in a timely manner so that you can submit your homework according to those deadlines. Homework is submitted electronically, and exams are done at proctor testing centers near your home or office. If you happen to live in the greater Los Angeles area, which includes LA, Ventura, and Orange counties, you will come to USC to take your exam. Otherwise, you'll work with our exams coordinator, who assigns you with a specific location in your area to pursue, to complete your exams at that proctored location. Now, again, this is all, of course, when we return to normal times and do much more of our approach in person. Now, in terms of just a quick overview of the similarities between our online and on-campus program, as well as delivery, I should say, and differences. The first thing I just want to address is that program admission requirements. So everything we went over in terms of the academic background and admission materials that we require are going to be the same, regardless of whether you choose to pursue the program online or on campus. Now, where the difference comes in is how you view your weekly lectures, whether you view them in a seat on USC's campus or online. Again, the archives are available for you to view in the evenings or on the weekends as an online student. And one of the nice things is in many of the classes that are on campus, as an on-campus student, many of the classes offer you the opportunity to view those archived lectures as an on-campus student for a review tool. So, if you're getting ready for a midterm or final exam, you actually have access to those recorded lectures to view at a later point in time. I talked about the exam structure and the courses per semester, but ultimately the thing I want to get across is the degree completion requirements, the requirement to complete your minimum number of units with a 3.0 GPA or above is required regardless of whether you pursue the program via DEN or on USC's campus. And ultimately the diploma you receive is the same. It does not indicate online in that diploma or on your transcripts. Just a couple other quick items specific to the online student. We do have an option called limited status enrollment, which allows qualified applicants or candidates to begin taking courses prior to receiving formal admission. So let's say you want to get started this summer semester as an online DEN at Viterbi student. If you qualify, and to qualify, you must have an undergraduate degree in engineering, math, or a hard science from a regionally accredited institution with a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or above. You can actually begin your registration process this summer while you prepare your application for formal admission. You're able to take up to 12 units, which is 3 to 4 classes that can be applied toward a degree program if you're ultimately admitted. It's important to note that limited status doesn't guarantee admission, so you do still have to go through the admission process and receive a formal admission decision from the university. If you're interested in this option and getting started this summer, you can go ahead and visit the website provided for more information. There's also an opportunity if you are working for an organization that's providing you with some tuition assistance funding to participate in the employer reimbursement deferment. This allows you to avoid significant out-of-pocket expenses during the academic semester if your employer is providing you with that tuition reimbursement at the end of the term. To review the eligibility and program requirements, again, we will be sending out these slides to those of you attending live. You can also visit the website provided for more details. So the next little section here, really quickly, you've learned a little bit about the degree program. You're ready to get started. Some quick tips on getting started. The first thing to keep in mind is the upcoming application deadlines. You may be wondering why I included fall 2021 here, given that the final deadline was January 15th. That is because if you are considering pursuing the program online as a DEN at Viterbi student, we do have some flexibility with that application deadline extension. So you can email us for more information, as we do work with students on a case-by-case basis to see if an extension is available for you. Now, again, that is specifically for the DEN at Viterbi online student. If you're interested in pursuing the program on USC's campus, I do encourage you to look at the spring 2022 semester. The application should be available this summer, so usually in the June-July timeline, and the application deadline is listed here. On-campus scholarship consideration deadline is August 31st, and the final deadline for both on-campus and DEN at Viterbi students for spring 2022 is September 15th. I also encourage you to review the Viterbi graduate admission website, and specifically our program page for the MS in Green Technologies if you have not done so already. The page has significant information on the degree program, as well as the individual application requirements and steps to begin that application process. So in terms of getting started, for those of you interested in taking classes on USC's campus, I encourage you to check out our virtual tour of the university, as well as to start your formal application for admission for the spring 2022 semester when it becomes available this summer. For those interested in the online option for the MS in Green Tech, I do encourage you to explore the potential application deadline extension for fall 2021 by emailing us at den@viterbi.usc.edu. Or you can check out the limited status option if you qualify to get started this summer. All right, that leaves us to the open question and answer. Again, I do encourage you to ask your questions in the Q&A panel. Professor, maybe the first question I have for you, and I'll leave it here. The first question I have for you is in terms of the elective units that are part of the program, can you maybe talk through some of the ways students have formatted their program in the past to fulfill those elective units based on their areas of interest, and how you go about selecting those courses with the advisor?
Well, students generally have a reasonable idea of what emphasis they want to have. And there are so many courses available that they look through the catalog and whatnot and come up with a set of things that interest them. And then they contact an advisor that assists with registration and so forth. And then that proposal essentially is put forth to me, and I look and see whether or not I think that the courses that are selected sort of hang together and provide the necessary emphasis that is needed. So that's generally the process. Some students pursue extra things with energy. Some students are interested in sustainability in business. Some students are interested in public policy. USC has a School of Public Policy that has courses of interest and so forth. So the flexibility of the program is very, very high, and one can tailor the elective portion very easily to one's interests. Megan, by the way, I can't see the questions that they're coming up.
Oh, okay. They are in the Q&A. Yeah,
they're in the
they're
chat
in the
or what?
There's a combination. I see them coming in both areas. So for those of you attending, if you can send them to the Q&A, that's the best way, so we could both Professor Maybe and I can see them. Some of the chat questions only go to me. So the next question I have here, Professor Maybe, is does this program prepare students interested in pursuing a doctoral program, or is it more focused for those looking for industry jobs after graduating with the master's?
I think that depends on how one pursues the program. If you take courses and just do that, there's nothing wrong with that, and you will be well prepared for a job in industry. However, to go on for a PhD in nearly every discipline, the emphasis in a PhD program is research. And in order to be successful, getting access, entering a PhD program, one has to have a track record of sorts with research. Now, USC is a big university, and all of the faculty are engaged in research one way or another. And so it's very easy to find someone that is interested in a particular problem. Here's an example that I like to use. One way of generating renewable energy involves having structures on the ocean that bob up and down, buoys, and that motion leads to an ability to generate electricity. We do not have a course on that, and I don't think anybody does, okay? But we have people who are interested in stuff like that. And so you could, say, write a thesis about that topic and do research that way. You could join someone's research group and assist with some problem of sorts. And that way you would have a track record. One other comment about doctoral programs is that in order to gain admission, one needs letters of recommendation that address how capable you are at doing research. And you need to get to know somebody or several people in order to pursue that direction. So remember, doctoral degree is based on research, and you need to establish a foundation for that. And USC can help you with that, particularly if you are on campus. Okay.
Thank you, Professor Mabey. Do you think you could expand a little bit more on the thesis option for a master's student, how that works with the degree, and how you go about pursuing it if you were interested in doing a thesis within MS and Green Tech?
You said, how about what work?
The how you go about pursuing a thesis as a student in the master's program.
Okay, well, let's say that you, based upon your readings, you've identified a particular aspect of, say, energy studies or sustainability or whatever. What one needs to do is to find a faculty member with that mutual interest. And the faculty is very large, and generally one can find someone. Now, once one has an advisor, the advisor will help to focus the problem, and then you go about resolving it with a thesis. The thesis typically involves, say, a literature search, what have other people done for a problem, and then some contribution on your own based upon the results of that search. And then finally, a set of conclusions in terms of what should happen next. And one works closely with an advisor to prepare the thesis. The master's theses at USC require a defense. That's not a huge hurdle, but one has to make a presentation about one's work. And that's important too, because in going to look for a job, oftentimes one has to make a presentation to a would-be employer. And if one can talk about what you've been doing with research, that's very helpful.
Perfect. Thank you, Professor Mabey. I think this might be our last question, unless anybody else has any to send over. I'll do a call for final questions. But the question here is in terms of students pursuing the online option.
Okay.
If a student is doing the program online, are there opportunities to do group projects in courses, or to have an interactive kind of participation while being an online student?
Yes. Perhaps I can address the class that I've been teaching specifically. We ask students to model a particular form of infrastructure that interests them, using a software tool that involves something called system dynamics. How does a system behave in time? And students work in teams of typically 4. And the on-campus students tend to form teams easily. It's a little bit more difficult for online students if they're all located across the country. However, we had developed a way of finding out what students are interested in, and we try to serve as matchmakers to form teams. And so far, we've been pretty successful with that. And so once the teams have formed, it's up to the students in the team to collaborate on things. And I think particularly now with everyone using Zoom and so forth, it's pretty easy to conduct a meeting when the participants are all over the place. So I think not all, but maybe most of the courses, the graduate courses have projects of that sort. And I have not heard of any difficulty that online students have had forming teams and getting the most out of it. I have one more comment, and that is that in the past 2 semesters, unfortunately, all of our courses have been done online using Zoom, regardless of whether or not you would have been an on-campus student or a remote student. So in that sense, everybody was remote. And nevertheless, in my class, for instance, we would we actually posted the lectures in advance, and so the online thing together was a group discussion thing, and so we would pose a particular problem, and then everybody would participate in a discussion of that. And so if you were present, you could go to a breakout room and talk to your group and then report back. And it worked just great. So I think the online opportunities are fine as long as you attend, okay? If you look at the lectures, say in the evening, and don't participate with other students, you would miss out on that. I mean, it's not necessarily bad. Some people do fine with that, but the class participation part is sometimes important.
Perfect. Thank you, Professor.
Okay.
We had a couple other questions that came through with my last call here. So this question is in regards to career opportunities that the program prepares you for. So I know we talked about some specific jobs that were received by our some graduates from our, or pursued by graduates from our program in MS in green technologies. But do you think you could kind of further expand on how this program prepares you for industry in maybe more generalized terms, maybe what skills you walk away with upon completion of the program, and maybe just a bit more of a generalization of the type of preparation you're given within the program to then go out and pursue opportunities within industry?
Well, I think the program certainly requires students to have a broad understanding of the energy sector, and it presents the opportunities through electives to dive deeper in terms of technical proficiency with specific energy systems. Those are things that would be valuable to many types of employers. As I indicated earlier, the sustainability part can be built up in a similar way, and industries are have greater and greater interest in sustainability. One that comes to mind is Boeing aircraft. We've had quite a few people from Boeing participating in the Green Technologies program via distance learning. So that's just an example of a large corporation that's interested in these things. And I indicated that both the government and the private sector are interested in sustainability and environmental issues pertaining to the permitting process. I have an example of that, just a brief one. Um, I believe San Diego Gas and Electric wanted to, well, had to construct a transmission line to get electric power from the desert in California that's east of there over to where the people live in San Diego County. And it turns out that actually designing the electrical part of the line is pretty easy, and any one of our graduates ought to be able to do that. An electric power graduate, rather, could do that very easily. But what they spent the most amount of money on is what was the route that the line would take. And so if you went one way, you'd cross some national park or something like, well, not a national park, but a wilderness area. So there'd be environmental concerns with that, or you might go through some community and the community would be upset about that. There are a lot of social issues involved with such things. Okay, and so engineers tend not to understand the aspects of that problem. And so this program gives you an opportunity to address that sort of thing and have sort of a combination of, say, the social aspects of things as well as the engineering and technical aspects of things. Our dean likes to talk about what he calls engineering plus, and so to a great extent, in terms of green technologies, the plus piece involving things that might not be strictly engineering, that's very important.
Thank you, Professor. I think that's a great way to kind of.
Yeah, are there any other questions?
There was one final question, and I can actually address it because it is related to funding opportunities. The question is, what resources are available in terms of funding your program, i.e. departmental scholarships, research positions, etc. So in response to that, for the most part, for the master's level, there are very limited RA or TA positions. Those generally go to our doctoral students. There are opportunities for on-campus positions and jobs if you are looking for additional funding in a variety of areas related to that, but not necessarily in research. Those would just be kind of more on-campus jobs in the library or other areas. There are scholarship opportunities. So if you are an on-campus student, you would need to apply by the scholarship deadline for the term that you are looking to apply to be considered. There isn't a separate application for that. You just go ahead and apply by the scholarship deadline and you will be considered for available scholarships that we do have for funding. And then in addition to that, the Dennett-Viterbi students have a separate scholarship opportunity. So if you're an online student or intending to pursue the program online, we do have a scholarship for working professionals that would provide additional funding as well. So I do hope that gave some insight into the funding opportunities, but I do believe that wraps up our final question for today. So thank you to everyone that attended the session and asked some really great questions. I want to leave with this slide where we do have ability for you to reach out to us in the future with any questions that you may have. If you're intending to pursue the program on campus or online, we do have two separate resources for you to reach out to. You can always call us as well for more information. And thank you, Professor Mabey, for taking the time to speak about the program, the master's degree in detail, and answer these questions. Did you have any final words you'd like to share with the attendees today?
Well, Megan, thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in this webinar, I guess. And I hope that the prospective students learned about our program, and we look forward to meeting each one of you in the fall.
That sounds great. And
Okay.
Thank you again to everyone that attended, taking the time out of your day to learn a little bit more. For those of you that couldn't attend the session live but are reviewing the recording, please do reach out to us by email for any additional questions that you may have. We'll be sure to get back to you with that. And thank you everyone again for attending today. And I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. And it is a Friday, so enjoy your weekend, everyone. Thank you so much again for coming today.
Thank you. Bye.